said 164?
Yes.
Hey, it's the 164th episode of Risk On. My name is Todd Ault, the executive chairman of BitNile, the executive chairman of Ault Alliance, the chairman emeritus of one of my favorite companies, Alzamend Neuro, and we are lucky enough, by the way, to be clear, I'm not on the board of Alzamend Neuro. Chairman emeritus is a nice way of saying, hey, you're out, dude. We like you, but you're out. Just kidding. But we are the largest shareholder of Alzamend Neuro, but the main man, the guy in charge, the guy doing the job, the guy who 3 years ago I said, I only have one goal in my life with Alzamend, and that is to get the drug into human beings and get a shot on goal. We had a thesis about this drug. Stephan, you delivered. Stephan Jackman, everyone.
Thank you.
I can't. If I could find a spot for clapping here, and I probably would here. I would say to you, we normally have a clapping spot here. We've changed the.
That's not it.
I think I like that one better. It's so much better. It's fitting.
That's great.
We've changed a bunch of the. No, that's a goat, which is the greatest of all times. That's the goat screaming here. I don't know here. I love you. Oh, that's Patrick saying I love you. I love you. Oh, we do love Stephan. Jason is on. Wow, Jason is on the air with the dog. Everyone, there's Jason. He is in Tampa, not too far from USF. And then Willie is up in Canada. Willie, you here?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
All right, brother.
I've got the Aurora going behind me.
I see that. Jason, everything okay there with Lucky?
Yeah, Lucky's got a compadre, and she's egging her on. So yeah, everything's good.
Skyla's in the house. What's up?
Hi, happy to be here.
So I'm going to tell you something, and we're going to get to Stephan in a moment. And I am that guy who, when you see that show and they say, stay tuned, coming up next, and then they keep dragging it out, and they eventually get to the main character, the main story. I'm going to tell you a story that today is December 20th, and 18 years ago today, I started dating my wife.
Congratulations.
Today was the first day I ever went out with my wife 18 years ago.
Congratulations.
Wow.
She was smart enough to go out with me. Just kidding. And we worked at a hedge fund together. I ran a hedge fund in Santa Monica. She worked there. She had just left Disney, and I think she was in radio, TV, film for Disney, the soap opera network. She's done a bunch of shows like Friends, ER, West Wing, all kinds of extra stuff, and was really into TV and broadcast and wanted to do that kind of thing. And then decided to leave that business and join a hedge fund in accounting, for God's sake. I don't know why. I think she wanted something more stable than working on Hollywood.
Definitely, yeah.
Anyways, so I came up to her, and we got to know each other for about 9 months. We were friends, but nothing more than friends. And one day I said, oh my God, I went to this wine bar, and I had this great Pinot Noir called Carmel Road. And I said, you really got to go to this place. It's amazing. They got a great selection. And I'm standing over her desk, and she said, I would love to. I didn't leave her desk until she let me take her. And I knew 30 minutes into the date I would marry her. So here we are, 4 kids, and been married for, I don't know, however long, 17, 18 years.
I think
Years,
17.
yeah.
It's got to be.
Definitely.
It's got to be 17, right? Because we
Yeah,
married right away.
17.
I asked her to marry me like 6 months later. Another foolish move on her part. She said, "No. Oh, sorry. 6 weeks later. 6 weeks later." She said yes, and then we got married 9 months later, and then we of course had the twins, Enzo and Asia. Chase and Miranda are there. The whole thing. It's like a little family of 6 here.
It was kismet. It was meant to be. It was meant to
Kismet?
be.
Yeah, there you go.
Like that.
Kismet like us a little bit too.
Exactly.
Right?
Same way we met.
So, I wanted to make the show about, I'm sure everyone's going to comment on the markets. Let's just get that out of the way, Jason. I don't know what to say. I've been doing this a long time, and there are moments in times where things get disconnected. Now, I, through the hedge fund and through my personal accounts, have bought, I think, about 6.2 million shares, give or take 100,000, since September of what we know as NILE today, N-I-L-E, the old DPW. That was DPW for 23 years, the symbol. I have been buying more Alzamend, and for some reason, people gave me a gift of Alzamend being at great prices today. I have no idea what the market is thinking. We don't have an ATM. We're not raising capital. We'll get into Alzamend's finances, which I thought were great, by the way. Stephan, congratulations on
Thank you.
such a great quarter. Jason, what's the market look like?
Well, the small caps are continuing to get bludgeoned. The market was bright red today. They're piling on the Pokemon fears, Pokemon instead of Omicron is what I call it. Couple that with end of year profit taking, potential tax write-offs, inflation. What's weird, Todd, is bonds are supposed to be down. The stock market's supposed to be up. I couldn't find anything. Actually, now I see the 10-year is actually up 1.7 and the 30-year is up 2%. But throughout the day, it was red. The dollar remains strong. Of course, the global reserve currency, the last bastion of hope. When you look at these countries with fiat currency, like Turkey, where the lira is just getting destroyed, it's just not a great market overall. There's the consumer confidence level seems very low. CPI is very high. What I'm seeing is not a lot of people want to work right now. So that's what we have some very negative results. The Dow was down 433 today, 34,932.
At one point, I thought it was down about, was it 600 or 700?
Yeah, for sure.
And then, and I saw the NASDAQ getting pummeled, S&P getting pummeled. The VIX is not only up to 22, but it is higher. I mean, if it were me, I'd be paying attention to interest rates, and to me, they're flat. I mean, 148 on the 10-year. 148 on the 10-year means to me that do they really care about Omicron? I don't know that they do. I think that we're going to have some person or people with brains that are not trying to scare everyone to understand that Omicron is turning into a flu. It's turning into a flu-like symptom situation where it wants to survive, so it's weakening, but becoming more contagious. I understand it's 70 times more contagious than the Delta. And it's just something that we have here. We've had the flu for a long time. It's a variant of this. It's going to be around. We're going to have to learn to deal with it. I saw that I had a friend going to Amsterdam for Christmas, and unfortunately, everything's been canceled. All the restaurants are closed there. I don't know why people think that this is going to last. People can't stay in business by closing down. You can't stay in business by printing currency. Everybody, I hope that the people that are listening who follow me and understand my communication I'm not a conservative guy, but I'm a realist. We can't afford it. There's no way we can afford to close down. No way. It's not going to happen. Country cannot afford it. We've already printed 40% of all the currency ever printed in the last 2 years. No way we can afford it. Jason?
Yeah, it's just not a chance. I mean, we're looking at a situation now where Powell comes out. He says where our intention is to raise rates 3 times in 2022. We have cut the tapering. We've actually reduced in half for the bonds. We've actually reduced in half for mortgage-backed securities. I just don't understand. One thing has to give. It's either the dollar or the market. And right now it's the market. The USD remains strong. DXY against all other countries' fiat remains strong. What's surprising me, though, is Bitcoin has been trending down. You see some fear-mongering from some other nations. But then again, you see some embracing from other nations. Paraguay adopted a bill in the Senate to make Bitcoin legal tender. Brazil looks to be on the way to do that. Bolsonaro in Brazil. Of course, we have El Salvador.
Hey, I'm seeing a little bit of a rally off the lows in Bitcoin right now. It's 47,275, and it must be rallying because we're on air.
It has to be. They know that they know we're mining that beautiful Bitcoin, and that's why.
Hey, I would pay close attention to what's on my screen real quickly. Let's bring it up here. Now, you see this little dog right here? Oh, the dog's gone. Sorry. Business Republican states asking Supreme Court The Supreme Court will rule on this. I assure you that the mandate that Biden's trying to come out with, that it's going to be ruled upon. This is no way that they're not going to chime in. Now, am I a legal scholar? No. But I was married to a lawyer one time, so that I did stay at a Hampton Inn Express last night. and so, anyways, I think that this is going to come out shortly. I don't think Biden telling people that, and by the way, Boeing and others have backed off on this and without mandates. This is going to be a fight, folks. This is civil liberties. We're going way too far. We're going way too far in telling people they have to be vaccinated. It's just not America. And James Cramer, by the way, we found out you have COVID. I just like to say I'm a big fan of James Cramer. I know that some people on this show are not. Suggesting the military should make you get a vaccine, really, really, dude. I don't know what dope you're thinking. I followed you for 20 years, Kudlow and Kramer, all this other stuff. I think you're a talented guy. I think you should work on retracting that you want the military and other people to force you to get a vaccine. And by the way, sure, I guess you're doing better now because you have a vaccine, so you can still run and exercise and do well for yourself because you had the booster and the 2 other vaccines. But you still got it, all right? And I just think dictating policy in which we tell people what we're going to do. I mean, my body, my choice. Okay. Anyways, but I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is a guy who we hired, who was referred to us by our CRO. We spent a lot of time with him. 3 years ago, became the CEO about that time frame. And I know people are texting me, look, the stock is... I'm going to just say something to you. I'm going to give you some analogies of my life, okay? In the 90s, a company called Foodmaker, which owned Jack in the Box, they had an unfortunate incident where they had E. coli burgers that killed people and got them sick. About 700 people were sick, and I think 4 people or 8 people died of E. coli burgers. And imagine that you're a place that sells hamburgers, and you sell a product, you eat the product, and you die, right? That likely will not help the stock price. And it didn't. The stock fell from $18 to, I believe, $2.75. Over a period of time, I got comfortable and bought a large stake of this company. Years later, Jack in the Box would go on to, they changed their name to Jack in the Box. The corporate business would become Jack in the Box. They installed the safest food delivery system in the world. They brought in doctors and other people to help them with how they would prep their food, and they really, really worked hard. And people over time became a believer in what they did. And I was rewarded, and my investors were rewarded for waiting, sitting. I make more money sitting and waiting than I do trading. Now, do I make money short-term trading? Of course I do. But the ones that have become the winners for me personally, I'm not referring to you, have been the ones that I'm willing to wait in. And I will tell you, I was more uncomfortable with Alzamend a month ago than I was today, and I'll explain to you why. And that is, by the way, that Jack in the Box position went on to be like $150 a share from $275. And why was I bringing that up? Because I had critics and people telling me they won't eat there again, and I had to wait. And it rallied up, and then McDonald's came up with their 55-cent hamburger because it was their promotional time because they were 55 years old. Jack in the Box had to grind it out, and eventually it grinded it out to 10, and then to 20, then to 28, and back to 19, and then eventually to 35, and back to 21, and eventually to 75, and back to 40, and now it's off into the races, and I made a ton of money for myself and my investors. I'm not equating Jack in the Box to Alzamend. I'm simply saying you have to have conviction. I had conviction. I went to the stores. I sat out in front of them and watched people ordering food. I looked at the drive-through lines. I drove all over Southern California to say, hey, are people returning to Jack in the Box? I spoke to the company. I spoke to Hal Sachs, who was there, who was the controller. We spoke almost every 2 weeks how the business was doing, anything interesting happening, what do the comps look like. They started reporting the comps. I have not seen in my 32-year career ever, and I want to be clear, let me say it real quickly. I'm the largest shareholder physically, like physically. And I'm the largest shareholder, Digital Power Lending, a subsidiary of Ault Alliance BitNile, huge shareholder. I think up to 22 million shares if we exercise all of our warrants and our investments. Ault Life Sciences, a division and a wholly owned subsidiary of Ault & Company. I think that's another 30 million shares, give or take, if we exercise all of our warrants and everything we have. I personally have 2.5 million shares. My family has it. Jason has it. Willie, who was the original spokesperson for it, he's had it the whole time. Stephan, you own it. Have you sold any shares?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I am completely convicted after that report that not only was the original thesis of the scientists correct, smart guys, not me, man. I didn't make it. Zerarocco did. Adam Smith, Scheidel, doctors that are smart at USF and that institute down there that came up with this design and this thesis. And Stephan, my conclusion was, even if the market were to close with Alzamend, I am the most comfortable I've ever been. I have never seen a phase 1 top line data. You normally look for toxicity. Hey, did you kill anyone? Did they get sick? Bioequivalency, phase 1. This is, we had a baseline thesis. I'm going to take you through it. We had a baseline thesis, and we told you from the beginning, too, by the way. When you look at the prospectus that was issued, I'm going to go backwards for a second. We had a baseline thesis, if you look closely here. Can you go to my screen real quick? We had a baseline thesis that bipolar disorder, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder would be in there. Do you guys have any idea how big this market is? This is a wallop of a market, okay? We had a baseline thesis that this would be a safer lithium, that it would replace Habitol, which is very toxic. And this was a thesis. It was not done in human beings, so it was a little bit of, okay, we're going to take a shot here. We're going to spend a lot of money, but it was a very well-educated guess. Stephan Jackman told me, you have it. I've looked at the data. I've talked to the scientists. You have it. Now, maybe he just, through power of conviction, wanted to tell me that it was good. Maybe he just wanted to say, we got it. But on Thursday night, when you called me and said, hey, baby, this is great shit, man.
This works.
Hey, Barry White got on the phone. All right, man. We got it going now. I am a believer. I'm not only a believer, I don't even care if the stock trades anymore. I am convinced that with your background from Novartis, your connections in the industry, that you've been right on. You did exactly what I asked you to do, which was to take a drug and put it in human beings and give people a shot. And I see people, I saw the report from Univest, $15 target, baseline lithium.
And the greatest thing about that report is that it did not include Alzheimer's. And by the way, the greatest, when we're looking at that free writing prospectus up there,
Right.
That was something that kind of slipped. You know, I always, when I put together a presentation to make sure that people are actually reading it,
Sure.
I always put something, an error in it. And if
Right.
you notice, for AL002, pull that up again,
Let's go back to my screen.
the submission of the IND
Right.
is November 31st.
Oh,
No one
nice.
caught it. and it ended up staying in there.
So it's never, right?
Exactly.
So there'll never be a submission.
So I guess I was
when
right
the first
in a way.
November 31st.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I was like, there's no November
Hey, you kept
31st.
your word, right?
And
You know what?
in the end,
That's like Van Halen and their green M&Ms.
Exactly.
It's
Oh
like,
my God, I love that story.
so I
Are we
stopped
really just
doing that.
checking the writer? Are we really being careful with this? You know, because if there's green M&Ms, you didn't read it.
Exactly. I'm
Right.
like, are people really paying attention to when I write a document? Like when I create something, are you really paying attention? But okay. But we knew we had those, right? So we said okay, and we've seen in clinical trials.
But you say no. Let's just get something clear, because you do have a free writing prospectus. You have a lot of
Yes.
leeway here.
Exactly.
But the reality is that was your thesis. You
Yes.
believed it.
So our thesis was, you follow the science. We've been hearing for the past, 2.5 years during the COVID, follow the science, follow the science, follow the science, right? So the inventors at USF said, okay, we're going to follow the science. We will find a way to make lithium more effective and less toxic than the current lithium on the market. So we're going to combine it with proline and salicylate and then co-crystallize it. That way we'll be able to give a lower dosage and get a higher therapeutic index. So we were able to prove in our phase 1 in a bioequivalent study that at 50% of the dosage, we're able to achieve a higher therapeutic index for this drug. So what that tells us is that, yes, not only did we de-risk this drug, is that we actually have a drug. So moving forward, we're just checking boxes, going into Alzheimer's, PTSD, depression, bipolar disorder, the other indication. So it's kind of like if you look at this, it's, every other company as they go out there and they have a drug, a new entity, that you're going into, that you're developing. It's like, okay, you do a phase 1, it's safety, phase 2 is dose range finding, phase 3 is efficacy. What this tells us is that we have the safety and efficacy data in regards to lithium carbonate that's on the market, that's already in the public domain, that we actually have something. So Alzamend is a bona fide drug development company. We actually have a product that is viable, that is beneficial for bipolar disorder. As we move forward and develop future indications for PTSD, depression, and Alzheimer's, we will let you know if it also works for that as well. But we are pretty confident at this point that it does, based on all the data available in the public domain. Don't believe me or us. Just Google and then go
I try to say
to
this. I try to say
clinicaltrials.gov.
I try to say this to people because people make comments to me online about this not outrageous stuff. Like, don't listen to me. I'm not a scientist. Pay no attention to me. Read the prospectus. Do your own due diligence. But let's talk about that due diligence, okay? Lithium is used now. It's been used for 50 years. Lithium carbonate is off patent. Lithium carbonate can be toxic and hard to deliver to the brain. So what's the thesis here? We're going to co-crystallize it, proline and salicylate. We're going to make it easier and more bioavailable to the brain. So there's a lot of work to still be done. But what you see here is 50, I'm going to stop, full stop, with just this one part.
Pull up that section.
A 50% smaller dose for the same equivalency. Okay, I want to stop on that for a second, so people pay attention to what we're saying here. This dose that people took was 50% of the current dose people have to take to get those results, and the dose that they're currently taking is toxic. They have to take a blood test to make sure their peak levels and troughs are correct. So Stephan, let's talk about that 50% dose and why AL001 we think is accomplishing that.
So at 50%, because the product is co-crystallized and the ingredients that's involved in the product, the formulation, it allows you to administer a lower dosage. So at 50%, we're there. But then we're also...
But that formulation is the first time ever invented. You guys have something that's
first
unique
time ever
and never
invented.
been done before.
This is not a generic. This is a new drug.
Right.
And it expires in 2036.
Right.
The patent.
2036.
So this is a new entity, a new patent.
So you take something that our data shows that there are 3 million people taking lithium, okay? Let's assume that data is correct because we've got it from credible sources. It's actually higher, but let's just say it's 3 million.
Yep.
3 million people are taking lithium now where they have to get a blood test. I've spoken to several doctors, neurologists, psychiatrists. They want to prescribe lithium. By the way, if you look at the video that I did a year and a half ago with Dr. Wozniacki, he'll tell you all about the great things that lithium can do. They want to prescribe it, but they don't like the blood test. They don't like the toxicity.
Exactly.
They don't like some of the pain that people experience with lithium.
Exactly.
And
the
yet,
side effects.
Yet you're now going to deliver a dose that's 50% of what the normal dose is today, based on the data. Right?
Correct. Yes.
Not made up. We didn't just... By the way, was it your brother that did the data? No, I mean, did you hire your brother to do the study? I'm just curious.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Did your one of your relatives, your cousin, do the study?
No.
Okay. So we know it was an independent study, right?
It was approved The IND was approved by the FDA.
Sure.
It was conducted via Altascience, and we received the data on Thursday.
Right. Okay.
And so we were able to, use that
Just so
data.
you guys
and
know,
say
I didn't
exactly
get
what
the
it
data
means.
till Thursday afternoon, so I don't ever get privy to that stuff until the last
And
minute.
you did not get the data. You got the call.
I got the call, not the data.
No one else is privy to
Gotta
the
be
data, but
technical
the
there.
internal scientific team is privy to the data.
Sure.
So we were able to say, okay, well, this is what we have. We have a viable drug. But to get back to what you just mentioned, there's a little bit over 3 million patients taking the current lithium formulation, right? So now we have a new product that at 50% of the dosage, you receive pretty much the same. So that minimizes the toxicity, minimizes the side effects. So this is fantastic news for the bipolar community, but also the people who are also using lithium for major depressive disorder, for depression, and for PTSD. So this is fantastic for that community.
Right.
That's
Now,
great
the
news.
patient population for Alzheimer's in the U.S. is really about 6.9 million, give or take 6 million.
A little
But
bit over 6 million.
But the patient population, go to my screen real quick. I'm gonna put a little cursor there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Is 40 million right there? 40 million.
So you have a little bit over 16 million Americans. This is not global. Just in the United States, a little bit over 16 million people suffering from depression.
Right.
You have a little bit over 13 million suffering from PTSD, and a little bit over 6 million from bipolar disorder. So right there, you have a patient population, plus the 6.2 million from Alzheimer's, about 40 million, and that's just in the United States.
Jason-
Globally, that's over 500 million people.
So Alzheimer's patients suffer from aggravation. I know this from my father. I know this from my mother-in-law. And so they are generally given something called Habitol. I think that they don't even give it out anymore because it was so toxic.
Vitamin H.
It's
yeah.
a way of sedating the patient a little bit. So the thought process was this would be a replacement for Habitol. That was a $1 billion product. But imagine that you can use it, and in the early studies that they did with this drug in preclinical, they showed the progression of Alzheimer's slowing, and in some cases, an improvement in cognitive function. So imagine what that would mean if the drug not only helped you with aggravation, but helped you with improved cognitive function and helped slow or stop the progression of Alzheimer's. Now, we are not making that claim. That's what the preclinical data said. Stephan, when you look and think about like the dream, wouldn't the dream be this drug, like, because you're going to put it in Alzheimer's patients soon, right?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't the dream be, what would the dream be? The dream, like, okay, we know it's safe for people now. It's 50% less dose. What is it? What's the bioavailability and what happens in the brain to Alzheimer's patients? Your thoughts?
So there's a lot of thoughts about, or a lot of hypotheses about Alzheimer's. One dealing with the plaques buildup, the beta amyloid and the tau phosphorylation, and also neuroinflammation. The greatest thing about lithium is that lithium actually affects all three positively. So we're expecting that when we go into our phase 2 and further develop our product, that it will show that it affects all three biomarkers, which is the beta amyloids, plaques, and neuroinflammation positively. And I think it's great to have a drug that can extend beyond just bipolar depression, PTSD. It can actually go into Alzheimer's and potentially other neurodegenerative diseases. So you can potentially use this for ALS, MS, and Parkinson's. So that would be, also traumatic brain injuries as well. So that's great to be able to have a product that's kind of been in existence for over 50 years,
Right.
being able to use for all these different ailments. I think that's phenomenal for the community as a whole and sufferers from psychiatric and neurodegenerative diseases, psychiatric disorders.
In the prospectus you issued with the IPO, you said we're going to file for other INDs, other
We
drug
are.
applications. And so we see here on
It's our
my
intentions.
screen, we see bipolar disorder, an IND.
Yeah.
We see depression, and we see post-traumatic stress disorder.
So we went after Alzheimer's first because we were, because it's because of the need.
Massive
you
unmet
know.
need, right?
So it's an unmet need within the United States. But also at the same time, we said, well, duh, of course, it's a given for bipolar, PTSD, and depression because that's what lithium is currently used for. So we just assume it was a given and assume that the public domain knew that. So it's kind of like, well, yeah. So now we're set out to prove that it does work for Alzheimer's because we know it works for bipolar, depression, and
We
PTSD.
know lithium already works for it,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
we do.
So, but
So,
the
yeah.
logical conclusion here was you needed the data. Now you have the data.
Now we have the data.
And that means that for these other INDs, you may not have to do the same amount of work anymore, right? Because you have the safety data.
Now that we have the data, we're able to skip a lot of steps based on the information in the public domain about lithium carbonate. We're able to skip a lot of steps and really expedite the drug development process for the other indications.
So that's sort of your baseline where you're going to
Basically.
say, hey, we've got a baseline now. We got a foundational, we built a foundation around the drug.
We have.
Now we're going to build on top of it. And I read this, let's go back to the press release. Such findings may allow the company to reduce or eliminate the need for phase 2 and phase 3 studies of efficacy and or safety of AL001 in such indications for bipolar affective disorders where lithium affection has already been established.
Yes.
Which I thought was great news.
So it's already been established for bipolar.
Right. And one of my favorite
yeah.
points, I love the way you write, by the way. Additionally, we are looking forward to pursuing investigational new drug applications with the United States Food and Drug Administration during 2022 for bipolar, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder indications. Given major unfilled public health needs, these indications, we intend to seek expedited regulatory interaction.
Absolutely.
Hey, Willie, do you know what expedited regulatory interaction means?
I absolutely do.
See?
Okay.
Exactly. He got it.
Jason.
Expedited regulatory interaction means that the steps that would need to be taken with the regulatory bodies would be shortened. They'd be
Absolutely.
expedited. They'd be increased. It would be sped up. So that interaction between Alzamend and the regulatory bodies, or the university and the regulatory bodies, would actually be shortened.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would say that people should read that for exactly what it means. So, Stephan, anything else you want to cover about what I have been told by analysts could be the best top-line data they've ever seen out of a phase 1? What is your thoughts here?
Well, I think when you say the best data out of a phase 1 is that you have a drug that's a known entity. It's a new patent, so at this point, you can definitely draw a lot of conclusions on that. So we have something. So basically, whereas a lot of other products, a new entity at the end of a phase 1, you're like, well, we're still not sure about it. We still have to do efficacy. Well, we don't have to for bipolar.
So
we have it.
Earlier this year, you got news that you were going to be allowed to. The FDA said here's how I would proceed with a phase 1 and a phase 2
Yes.
for the vaccine. If we could go to my screen real quick. On November 31st, you're gonna file an IND, which we all know there's not a November 31st.
Exactly.
But assuming you meant November 30th, and this was in the prospectus, you got news, which I thought the company got news, which was great, which is that, hey, we're okay with you filing a 1-2, right?
Absolutely.
Now imagine that would mean that Alzheimer's patients would be getting a vaccine.
Absolutely.
Right. So talk to us about when you found out you got a phase 2, you said, okay, well, if we're going to prepare for a phase 2, that's sort of a different amount of drug we need, maybe different clinical sites, different stuff has to happen. So you said, we're going to delay that because that's such great news. That's going to let us skip ahead. So explain to people how a delay lets you skip ahead.
So in designing the clinical trial, we realized that as we go into phase 1, because it is an immunotherapeutic vaccine, it has to be in patients with the disease. So what we realized is that our phase 1, we're actually not only going to get safety data, we're going to also get efficacy data.
Okay, so let's slow down there.
So, yeah.
I'm going to slow down there for
Okay.
the layman that's like
Okay.
that I am. So you're saying that not unlike AL001, where you put it in people just to see how it interacted, whether it was safe, and how the drug interacted, like
Yes.
in terms of bioequivalency, you're actually going to treat human beings with Alzheimer's with a vaccine in phase 1, 2. You're actually treating people with the disease.
With their own blood. Because what we're doing, we're removing the patient's blood from their bodies, separating the dendritic cells from it, mix it up with our cocktail, and put it back into the specific patient's body. So it's autologous. So it's patient's specific.
Right. And
So it allows your own
That's going to
immune
put that mutant peptide in there, right?
and it allows your own immune system to combat Alzheimer's, reverse the effect potentially. So this can potentially be a full-on cure or a prophylactic or preventive for Alzheimer's.
So not only do you have AL001, which is across the board, lithium, 40 million people can be affected by this drug.
As people would say, lithium 2.0.
Lithium 2.0, wow. And we know, Gary, are you happy with that? Because that's Lithium
You
2.0,
happy?
Gary.
Exactly.
Britney Spears, I know it's coming for you. I know you're on Lithium now. Now you're going to have 2.0 soon.
It's funny when we received the results, the scientific team was, like backflips, jumping for joy, everything like that. They were like, "Oh my God, this product actually works! It's 50% the dosage. It's great." And so, but the business, side, everyone's looking like, "Okay, so is that a good thing?" And it was like, you don't understand. This is going to revolutionize the way care is administered for patients with bipolar, PTSD, and depression. It is fantastic. It's phenomenal news. And so then, kind of like 15 minutes later, exactly, it's kind of delayed reaction to it. So
I got to tell you, dude.
And
listen, you guys got to understand.
But hold it.
You're the guy. You're the guy.
So our biocokineticist, so our pharmacokineticist actually said, within the Zoom call, it's like, zoom into my face, zoom, bring it all the way in. He said, you have a drug, you have a product. It's actually going to be something great.
Right.
So but getting back to AL002, the good thing about it is that, so we reached out to the FDA and said, hey, being that we will know safety and efficacy, can we do a combined phase 1, phase 2? And they said, yes, you can.
you can.
But what that means for us is that, okay, now we have to scramble and go back into, now we need product, now we need, the manufacturing and everything.
gotta do the real work.
Now that delays, so it delays our IND, about 3 to 6 months. But at the same time, that just means that data is going to be, we're just going to get it that much quicker. So it didn't really slow us down. We're still on target, concerning the phase 1 and then going into a phase 2. Now we're just combining both. So this is great news for us.
So
you should see the comments in the comment box, just because I know that that traditionally Risk On or this show is about the markets and it's about risk and that sort of thing. But I'm reading just comments. I wonder if I can get my dad into phase 2. This sounds so good to be true, too good to be true. If it works, I'll cry. I can't imagine the millions getting their loved ones back. I just want to. I just want to.
hey, man, Willie, I want to let you know the day he called me, I cried. My father will not be saved.
With you.
You were.
We were. Yeah.
That's right. You guys were on the phone with me.
We were in a meeting.
My father
Yeah.
will not be saved by this drug.
But I just wanted because I know that you guys are so busy all the time, and we are sort of insular in our worlds. Just to see the real world comments, which I know you guys know exist all the time. And just to reiterate to those that are watching the show, your comments and that hope that you're receiving right now is the reason Todd and Stephan do what they do. It really is about providing hope, and then if everything goes well, then it becomes a reality, and it looks as though it is. So I just wanted to bring that up.
And as we said in our speech, the NASDAQ bill, that we were, sick and tired,
sick and tired
of waiting. Now we're no longer sick and tired. Now we're executing, and we're happy that we're gonna, have something for the entire community who's suffering from not only Alzheimer's but, bipolar, PTSD, and depression.
So I'm very pleased to say that not only am I happy to be an investor, I was the founder. Stephan is stewarding the ship really well. He's not listening to the sirens of Wall Street. Come over here, Stephan. We'll give you money. He doesn't need money. He was capitalized right from the beginning. That's why we did the IPO the way we did it, to make sure he could control what he needed to do.
Absolutely.
I'm incredibly pleased. Jason, I know you're an investor. Your thoughts on Alzamend, what you saw in the data, your independent thoughts. By the way, trust me, I see the emails that Jason writes to people, and he's definitely independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Let me give me 2 minutes just to rant just for a moment. So ALZN, 88.85 million shares outstanding, free float roughly 46.51 million shares available to the public investors, traders, if you will. Now, when we take a deeper look at it, the volume of the stock has been trading quite heavily because people have identified value there. However, and here's my rant, why would people in humanity short sell a stock, a drug, two possible drugs that could literally change humanity for the better? I really get upset when I look at the short volume. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there's traders that like to bet against stocks, and they're betting against ALZN. And what they're doing is they're actually taking out positions, betting that the actual stock will go lower. And they're putting a lot of selling pressure on the stock. And I just don't know why people would choose such a wonderful, potentially life-altering, improving drug, two drugs for that matter. Why do people choose to do that? There's so many other companies that are just out there flapping in the breeze, not really doing anything to help anyone in the world. I mean, why would you pick this company? That's just my rant. I'm sorry. I had to go there.
It's the free market, Jason. You don't want to do what Kramer does and tell them not to short, do you?
I just don't think there's that much meat on the bone if you're looking at it from a fundamental standpoint. Why are you, well, I don't know. Maybe people are just seeing something different than I'm seeing. I guess you're right, Todd. It is the free market.
Well, I think it's gonna end moving forward, because the good thing about it is that now they know. Whereas, before you're speaking with with potential and hypotheticals, and now you actually know you have a bona fide drug. Hopefully it's going to stop, but either way, I don't pay attention to the stock price anyway.
I want to say something. That you de-risked it.
Yeah.
When you got data, we got in patients. I was always happy as I had ever been. When you got the word back from the FDA that the vaccine could go 1-2,
yeah,
and you could apply for that, and they gave you a path for that. Now, obviously, we'll wait for approval when you file that IND, but I'm excited for that for next year.
it's going to be great.
But now you have data. Before it was, oh, you're preclinical. Oh, you're not funded. Okay, so we got funded. Then we're preclinical. Then we got announced we're in human beings. And now we have data. And I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
You don't have to.
I'm not even worried. I'm going to stop getting a quote because I'm going to put this on autopilot.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will see soon that I like the prices down here, but my actions will speak louder than my words here. I'm very comfortable. I just wanted to publicly say to Stephan, thank you. It was wonderful to get that data. If you're an Alzamend shareholder, talk about what they should look forward to in 2022. Just high level, no specifics, because I know the logistics of it are you have a ballet here that you have to perform.
In 2022, the team will be working diligently to move both drugs, into phase 2. AL001 into a phase 2 and AL002 into a phase 1 combined 2. And we'll also be doing additional indication as per our S1 for AL001. So we're going after bipolar, PTSD, and depression, which is just basically, in layman's term, checking boxes. That's all we're doing. We're just check. We got safety. Bipolar, well, we know lithium carbonate's already approved for that. So we're just checking a box, going down the line, and achieving every milestone.
So I can't imagine that you're not thrilled with where you are.
I am overjoyed. Ecstatic.
Overjoyed, right, for sure.
Absolutely. So this is great news.
Hey, Willie, you've been involved with the company even before Stephan got here. Any questions for Stephan?
I really don't. I just have accolades. I mean, it to me what always hits me. I mean, I was on that phone call when I was asking you, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And you said, "I have to go." I just received some news, and we didn't really know what it was until later, and we found out that it was terrific news. But I wish I could appropriately convey how much adversity both you two men have faced to bring this to this point. And it absolutely, you have my utmost respect for just never giving in to the haters, never giving into the pressure, the negativity, the market, all of those issues. And you've brought something to life that everyone said could never happen. And you didn't just bring it to life, you're bringing it to so many people around the world. And I don't have any, I couldn't have any questions about the future because I know it's in such good hands. And I know that there's so much forward thinking. And I know the motivation behind it that I can only just say thank you for all of us who have lost family members to Alzheimer's, who are afraid of getting it themselves, for people that deal with PTSD and bipolar disorder. I've got relatives that are doing that. You've given so much hope, and I've always said, you can stand against any adversity as long as you have some hope, and that's what you've done. And I just want to say thank you. That's all I can say.
Stephan, thanks, Willie. Stephan, when you, nicely put, by the way. When you look at that other company up in San Francisco, they have one drug but multiple indications. It is called, why am I fading on
Denali.
Denali. How do you compare yourself to Denali? I mean, obviously they have a lot more staff and a lot more money, but they have the same drug in a couple different indications here. Is there anywhere, if there's any public company out there that you would compare yourself to, who would it be? Or maybe one or two?
Well, that's kind of difficult. I haven't really did my research, with the other organizations. I am familiar with a lot of different companies within the space.
SAVA.
Yes,
Was
you have
Cassava,
Cassava, you had Enovis,
Denali.
Denali. We don't really compare ourselves to any one of them because we're very different. And when you look at our patient population, we're talking just in the United States alone over 40 million people that can benefit from our drug. And I think it's great when you think about, I think about all the patients out there that's suffering from this disease. I think about your family members that you're fighting for Alzheimer's.
For sure.
I think about one of my friends who I spoke to last week. She had to hospitalize her daughter because, the whole COVID and these, kids not being able to go to school, they're pretty much at home. So she suffered from depression. She started to hurt herself, and they had to put her in the hospital. The only way she was able to get out of the hospital is by getting on a lithium regimen. For major depressive disorder, for people who are suffering from that and they're about to hurt themselves, they have to go on a lithium regimen. And knowing that, so it's funny. I gave her a call on Saturday, and she said, "Oh my God, she sees the peaks and the troughs, basically the ups and downs, the highs and lows from taking the 300 milligrams 3 times a day." She said, being able to have something that's a little bit better, more sustained product, she was like, this would be fantastic. She was like, I can definitely see my daughter will get on this. But if you pull up that slide, I want to show to everyone, one down, that one, show that.
All right, let's go to my screen real quick.
So that's something that we showed in our free writing prospectus. That's the difference between our drug than the current lithium carbonate on the market. So if you look at the purple lines, when you take lithium, when they talk about the spikes and the peaks and the trough, that spike, the parabolic spike that you see there, that's toxicity and side effects. And when you look at the Tiffany colored, line, that's our drug. It's sustained throughout the brain and the body. And that's fantastic.
Hey, I started off earlier in the conversation, and I said, guys, I have made all the money I've ever made in terms of wealth, sitting on my butt, waiting for the stock to perform. I'm more comfortable than ever. Stephan, I think your team's done a wonderful job. People don't realize, because you can outsource, that you literally have PhDs, scientists on your payroll.
We have a team of about 25 that's contracted with us. We call it our strategic partners. People who were head of regulatory for Novartis Pharmaceuticals. We're talking about American Home Product, which I think was purchased by Wyeth, which was purchased by, I think, Pfizer.
Bristol or Pfizer.
Yeah. So and then you have people who are from Shearing Plow, I don't know if anyone remembered Cheer&Plow, but yeah, they were purchased by Bristol Myers.
Wait.
You have
Hold on a second.
Aventis.
Weren't you at Novartis?
Exactly,
too?
I was. You have
Oh.
Aventis, you have Sanofi, you have Genzyme, you have Merck, you have Johnson & Johnson. So we have pharmacokineticists, we have immunologists, we have toxicologists. I mean, those people who, I mean, they make a lot of money.
Right.
However, we don't need them on a full-time basis, so there's no need to have them on your team. There's people. By having a strategic partner, these people are always on the cusp and the cutting edge of where you are from a regulatory standpoint, how to get the drug much faster through the clinic, what your CMC, your manufacturing partner should be, et cetera, et cetera. Having that internal is totally, from my point of view and perspective, unnecessary.
Hey man, it looks like to
So,
me.
yeah.
It looks like phase 2 is going to happen for AL001 and AL002.
In addition to other indications.
Other indications coming. I'm the most pleased I've ever been with Alzamend. I know it was at $9. I didn't sell any stock. And now down here, I'm like, okay, this thing's been de-risked. There's a lot of data now. It's going to get better, I think. I'm very happy with it, Stephan. Congratulations to you and the team.
It's a fantastic product.
Skyla, before we sign off, anything? Got a joke for us?
Yes, I do have a joke. Did you know that 10 plus 10 and 11 plus 11 are the same?
How?
Because 10 plus 10 equals 20 and 11 plus 11 equals 22.
Oh, God.
Well, they said that about 2020 and 2022 coming up. It's like, it's 2022.
Yeah, I saw
Again,
that.
I
I
saw
got
that.
it.
Exactly,
Was it,
right?
was it the New York Times? Oh, okay. Or maybe the...
Hey, Jason, any parting thoughts before you take off?
I just want to thank Stephan and his team for everything they are doing
Yes.
and will continue to do. And yeah, just working on the business plan on the BitNile side and back to work after
Hey,
the show.
we got, instead of 300 miners, we got 593 this month. And we get rewarded with the
Yep.
price going down because we're mining more Bitcoin. Okay, in whatever reverse world I live in, okay, you want to do it, go ahead. I feel like saying to people, I say to them, if you want to make it cheaper so I can buy more, since I've already bought 6.1 million shares, that's up to you. You do what you want. I wash my hands of it now. We're doing great. I'm not uncomfortable with this at all. I'm very comfortable with where we are. Hey everybody, for Alzamend, what I would look forward to next year is obviously the filings of the vaccine into patients. I'd be looking for those different indications for INDs to be filed. I definitely know that Stephan will be on the trail institutionally. A lot more calls now that you have data. So
Absolutely.
look for JP Morgan conferences coming up, a lot of healthcare conferences.
Yes.
I think you're going to get on the map a little quicker now because you have data. Before it was you're too early. Before it was you needed money. Now you don't need money. You're not too
Lots
early,
of
and now
calls
you got
coming in.
data, baby.
Lots of calls coming
Oh,
in.
did you like us before? Who were you? Hello? Sorry. See, people don't realize Stephan came from Novartis. Stephan can just go, he can just do this. Hello? Yeah, this is Stephan. I used to work with you at Novartis. Can you refer me over to whoever I want to be referred to? He knows everybody, guys. We didn't hire Stephan because of his good looks, although he is a good-looking guy. I like that hair.
Well, that's how we were able to de-risk the product. I
You
called
d-
all my
I-
colleagues with.
Well, look at the board members you brought on. I mean, look at the board
within
members
the
you have.
industry.
Yeah,
so I called all my colleagues
you-
at Novartis, Merck, J&J.
I mean, you
what do
gotta-
you think about this?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. And they're the ones who told me. They said, you have something here.
Right.
Just
and you
heads
have
down work on it.
Dr. Wu from UCLA on there,
We
a
do.
practicing neurologist. He's told me flat out. He said lithium is a anti-inflammatory drug,
Yes.
and I would use it if I could on patients with MS. A lot of possibility, guys. It is the December 20th. Happy anniversary to my wife. It's December 20th, 2021. It's 2:05 in the afternoon. This is Risk On. Thank you to Stephan Jackman from Alzamend Neuro, the CEO and director. Willie, thank you. Skyla, Jason, Nick, Brett, everybody. We'll be here Wednesday. We'll even be here Friday. Is the day before Christmas. We're going to do a show, a Christmas special. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Those of you who are Alzamend Neuro shareholders, we love you. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone at BitNile. Take care.